All right, what's your name?
Sean.
All right, hey, check it out. My name is Sean. A lot of y'all don't know that, but my middle name is Sean, and I met another Sean, and this Sean has a very interesting fucking story. So I'm gonna talk to him about his story, and y'all get to hear, and this is gonna be awesome because these are the kind of stories I've been looking for. God damn it! So Sean, your boat sank 1,000 miles off the coast of Hawaii. And your nearest savior was what, North Korea or South Korea?
It was, well, what happened was it was November, I forget the exact year. It was probably about 4 years ago. And I sailed south from Hawaii into the area of Kiribati. I was actually headed toward Christmas Island to look for permits to do a bird count down there to support my cruising. I had a 43-foot cutter rig, which I was single-handing. A storm was coming, so I was trying to outrun the storm. Well, when I passed through the ITZ, I guess actually before I got to the ITZ, I lost a lower aft shroud. And so what I did was I brought my lazy over to my working. So I just disassembled one, it was a tang that broke. And so I undid the tang, brought it over, and reattached it to another one. All good. But then I went through the intertropical convergence zone, so the wind had shifted. Now I'm pitching, and that pitching caused my backstay to separate. Basically, what had happened was I had one of those man-over poles, and you put a little crimp on it to keep that flag up there, and that crimp actually oxidized over a little bit of time and caused me to lose my boat. Really funny, but not really. So I just
not really.
I just put a whole bunch of money into it, like sails and food, and I redid. I lost my rudder sailing. Well, I had electronics earlier.
But that was still money.
Oh yeah. I put $50,000 into the boat when I bought it, and then another $20,000 after that. But nonetheless.
So you think with all that money that you're going to be okay out there on the...
I did my best with that. You know what I mean? You always take your life in your hands when you go out into the ocean. And I've been on the water for 20 years at this stage of the game, so I wasn't
right.
Green hand. So, boat's breaking apart. I fire an EPIR, basically a personal locator beacon, but basically it is a electronic remote indicator beacon, an EPIR. And the Coast Guard sends a C-130 from San Diego to make radio contact. The first rescue was a Singapore vessel called the Hulk Kobe.
Let me have a minute of this guy's time. Hi, I'm Sean's friend Dave.
Hey, Dave.
So this happened on Thanksgiving Day, and it was about 6 o'clock at night. I'm in Bakersfield at the table to carve the turkey with my family, and I got my phone on, and I looked at the call, and my wife was pissed because I'm going to take the call, and it says U.S. Coast Guard.
Right.
Now, how the heck did they ever put that onto my phone? I don't know. And I said, wait, I have to take this call. And they said, you know a fellow by the name of Sean. You want your last name? Anyway, I told them, yeah. And they said, would he ever turn his EPIR bond frivolously? And I said, no.
No.
He says, what kind of fuel would he use on his boat? I says, well, Sean would never have an engine that didn't run on diesel. They said, oh. They said, we'll get back to you. Okay, Sean, all yours.
All right, so then the Coast Guard makes radio contact with me, and they send the Hulk Kobe. But the Hulk Kobe is like this 400-foot cargo carrier. It's a car carrier, to be exact. A Singapore registry with a French captain but Japanese crew. And apparently they don't speak very well together, so they graze me. My little 43-foot fiberglass boat grazes a 400-foot car carrier in 10-foot swells and 40-knot winds. Well, that kind of put a little hole in my side, but I could keep up with it. So after they delivered fuel and oil, I kind of waved them off. So again, about 48 hours later, I'm almost to the island. I'm like within 60 miles. That's half a day, 12 hours. And all of a sudden my engine stops. Of course I was asleep at the time because you have to sleep at some point. And I'm like, why did my engine stop? So I tried to figure out why, because the engine was still running, but the boat wasn't. But apparently the V-drive operating underneath water, it failed. So now I don't have a mast and my engine's gone, so I fire the E-Perb. About this stage of the game, I'm pretty close to knee-deep in water, so the boat's sloshing around. Coast Guard, when they send a C-130 out again, is like, what's your malfunction, skipper? I'm like, yeah, this time the engine's gone. They go, you know, you're going to have to abandon the boat. I'm like, I'm just looking at dollar signs at this stage of the game. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty well aware of that one. So then they got the Koreans, they showed up. It was funny because, you know, after the Hulk Kobe experience, they're flying around, and they're all like, hey, listen, we're going to fly around because they don't speak a lot of English. We're going to help you translate because they've got a single sideband so they can actually talk to Coast Guard, you know, Long Beach, or which is probably what they're, or Honolulu, which I think their operating base was. They have Korean people in Honolulu. They could translate, you know what I mean? So these pilots are like, yeah, we'll translate. Well, of course, you know, it takes 250 miles. It takes them a while to drive that boat there to rescue me, actually, a couple days. So pretty much like just before the boat gets there, they go, hey, listen, we're running low on fuel, so we got to split. And I'm like, you know, hey, listen, you know, that last rescue really sucked. Can we do another rescue? Like, find someone else? If you can't find people to translate, they go, man, this is all you got.
Dude,
No,
really?
I said that to the Coast Guard. It was pretty hilarious. Like, hey, can we do this as a non-rescue? Can we get someone else, please? So the Koreans picked me up. Like I said, I had some herb on me, and I was pretty bummed about like losing that. So I was really excited about getting to Fanning Island. But if you ever go to the globe, you find the middle of the Pacific, you'll find a little dot called Christmas. It's now called Kiribati Masi in the country of Kiribati, that looks like Kiribati.
I actually have read about Christmas.
Yeah, well, there's two. There's one in the Philippines, which is an Australian detention center, and now Kiribati Masi is what it is. It's in the center of the Pacific. It's not the Australian detention center.
Right.
So 250 miles north of that is the island of Fanning, where I was. A book that was written called Sex Lives of Cannibals talks a little bit about life on Tarawa, which is the country of Christmas, but it's the capital of Kiribati. But it's civilized, you know what I mean? If you ever look up videos for like Kiribati music, it's their best export.
Yeah.
It's all Tarawa. But where I was one of the outer islands, and it's so funny, this guy in his book, in Sex Lives of Cannibals, was talking about how he got plane wrecked. His plane got stranded on one of the islands for 3 days. He's talking about the depression and all that.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, I was there for 5 months. So after 5 months of being on one of the outer islands, it must have been a 300-foot cargo vessel that was actually a sail vessel. It was a Cook Island registry, but it did a Copra run through the Northern Line Islands, which is where I was. And I got working passage on that to do the Copra running, so I got to Washington, back to Tara, which is Fanning, and then Christmas for Copra, and then we went back to Tara, which is Fanning, and loaded up shitload of kelp and brought it back to Hawaii, and that's my breach back into civilization.
Whoa, that is crazy, man. Thank you so much. Now I shall buy him a drink for sharing the story with us. That's an awesome story. I mean, I need to ask you one thing though. Being out there, I'm kind of a conspiracy person, and so have you ever seen any signs of possible mer people?
Oh, and I was a commercial diver for a long time. I've gone down, I've actually seen species that have now just been identified, but I saw them before they were actually identified. It was some sort of glowing tube worm. It's kind of cool. Off Catalina at about 300 feet. No, it's 250 plus, because I never hit 300 on air. Well, and I certainly haven't done it on a breath hold.
Right, yeah.
There are people who have. I think Shauna, she died at 600, and that was a breath hold, so she actually has the record right now.
Yeah, free diving would be crazy.
132 is my deepest on air. But
So that's free diving just on your own breath.
Yeah, and then my
So like, what are we talking, like 7 minutes, 5 minutes?
I don't know, because the problem with freediving is the deeper you go, the longer you can stay. Because of Boyle's law, meaning like your limbs shut off, the oxygen, and the Charles law says partial pressure in your lungs, the O2 increases. Also, when you blow air up into your ear, the cilia cells exchange air there too. So I sat there at 132 on my knees for a little minute, looked around, and saw Palin's Landing, and then I started swimming up, and I kept going, man, because it all reverses when you start going up. That's a lot of fucking kelp, and I kept swimming, you know.
Right. So what you're saying is that there possibly could be.
Oh yeah, no, people.
But you
I
won't
believe
get
man is a
bit.
marine
As
mammal.
long as you're free
During the Ice Age, man's gone through an ice age, one glacier period, and like whales and dolphins, all that, they came through canine species that went into the water.
Right.
Man was a primate, and during that area or that period, he ate sugared raisins, so that high sugar caused complete rapid development of the cerebral cortex. And then he also dove high proteins like abalone.
Right.
So he's working in two environments and dealing with really high proteins and really concentrated sugars. So man's a marine mammal.
It makes sense.
But I think those mermaids are right. I think they're there. They just don't want anything to do with it.
You heard it here first. It's just real. It's just real out there.
We all came out together, and they're the ones, you know, that decided
To stay.
they might have a frigging city down there, and they just don't want to have anything to do with it.